Hi there, I'm April Callis-Birchmeier, and I'm excited to be with you today for our LinkedIn Live. I wanted to talk with you today about something that I think is really exciting. I want to focus on the future of change management, on trends and innovations in change management. And the reason I think this is so critically important is that change is happening so fast. Change is just speeding along, and we are kind of at its mercy. And I really feel like, as a change professional, and maybe as a project professional or HR professional or whatever role that you're in, I am sure that you need to also focus on change and what's new, what's happening, what is a trend, what's really an innovation that is something that won't go away quickly. And I really want to spend time on that. So let's talk about where change is heading. There's so much to talk about there. I think there's just a tremendous amount of change happening all at once right now. It used to be that we would have a change, and then it felt like we had a little bit of a breather, right, to catch up. It would be like we would work hard, we'd push hard, and we would get this change, implemented, sustain it, and everybody have a momentary rest. Well, now it feels like we don't get the momentary rest. Now it feels as though we're just going, going, going. We're just keep on going, and we don't have any time to relax, to focus, refocus, to reset ourselves, and even in turn discover why things went well or why they didn't go well, and then go back and fix things or um, reiterate our process. So I think it's really critical to ensure that you understand and I understand where things are headed. So I did put together some thoughts about 5 areas where I feel that we know that there's a lot of change happening. I'd like to talk about these areas with you today, these 5 areas of trends and innovations in the organizational change management field. You know, this is number one, of course, I'm sure, as you can imagine, is AI and automation, and thinking about the smart future of change. So I don't know how much experience you've had yet with artificial intelligence. I mean, we kind of all have had experience over time with it because, we all have, smartphones that we're using. We all have uh, tools and laptops and things that we are constantly using to give us information. But if you haven't really jumped into exploring AI, I want to encourage you to do so because I feel that this is really where we can be responsible for guiding our organizations and really help people to understand that this isn't a futuristic concept anymore. This is now. This is now. If you have used ChatGPT, either the free version or the paid version, that's a great place to start. I think of it as training wheels. It's a terrific place to start. So the free version of ChatGPT is it's not connected to real time data. It's a copy, and it's I believe from 2022. But you can ask Chat all sorts of things. And the way that you ask Chat is that if you open Chat GPT and you look at the page, there's a little blinking cursor in an area where you can chat. And you can ask your Chat GPT information about your change, information about your target audience. And sometimes you can even ask Chat well, all the time, you can ask Chat anything. But sometimes I will ask Chat to help me develop a plan, such as a communication plan. And so for change management, this is an area where I think there's a tremendous amount of time savings that uh, we can start to enjoy. Because if I'm working on a communication plan and I write a prompt for my Chat GPT, and a prompt is just a question. If I write a prompt or a question to Chat GPT, such as how can I develop the most effective communication tools for this particular audience, I will get a terrific response back. So not only will it help me think about tools, it'll help me think about techniques of communication. It will help me think about calendaring communication. Whatever I want to ask it about, it instantly, once I click enter, instantly spits out an answer for me. And I can add more and more information to shape the answer in the way that best suits my goal. So, for example, if I am working on a communication plan, and I tell ChatGPT I have 500 stakeholders and they are all over the state and they're in different offices. What would be some effective forms of communication to ensure they all understand a new system is going live on a particular date? And ChatGPT will send me an answer immediately. And then I can say, I'd like you to add this variable. I'd like to revise this in this way. And I'm actually having sort of a conversation back and forth with ChatGPT to determine what it is that I'm trying to um, craft. But ChatGPT is doing the heavy lifting of creating the first draft. And this is where you can really save a lot of time, is because once you have a first draft of your communication plan, and you have refined it slightly with ChatGPT, it is a piece of cake for you then as a change professional to take that draft and really add some detail if about your project, to think about, the cadence of communication. Are the key messages there? Do they make sense? And you've saved so much time and energy that you can now devote to really analyzing your stakeholder groups, or thinking about, some training and knowledge gaps so that you can fulfill those. And then you can use ChatGPT to help propose some training courses to fill those training gaps. So, those knowledge gaps. And so I think it's really a terrific tool. There are so many tools at our disposal now. We have ChatGPT, we have Microsoft Copilot, we have Perplexity. There are just hundreds of AI tools that are available now. And these are mostly on the LLM, the large language model. And we can really analyze data at unprecedented speeds. We can predict employee sentiment, which is really amazing. We can identify some resistance before it really gets moving forward. And this allows us to spend less time writing templates, creating templates, and more time proactively shaping successful change journeys for people. And so I really love this new frontier of AI. Um, One of the things that used to drive me crazy, and I don't know if you've been in this situation, but creating training schedules, right? Like, the curriculum paths, you have the participants, what days they can and cannot attend training. And then I'd have to like manually put those pieces together or do it in Excel. And it was difficult and a lot of work. But now I can turn that task over to ChatGPT and get a great first or second draft, and then hone that to make sure that I am meeting the training needs that are necessary for my project. So this really helps you to focus your efforts on where your times makes the most difference, which is really focusing on those stakeholders and those humans and how they need to change. The second trend or innovation I'm seeing is really this hybrid and remote work. So this really has changed the ways of working for many of us. And it's an interesting conversation, I think, that we're still in the midst of. But this the hybrid work models, where you're sort of part remote and part in the office, or remote completely models, are really shaping how we approach change management and how we lead change. And when you're dealing with a distributed workforce where everybody is at home or in their you know remote locations, you have to have new strategies to engage your stakeholders. You have to find new ways to inform them. And specifically, you have to find a way to connect them, because we know that connection is key when it comes to leading change. So having clear communication is really important. Our approaches have to be inclusive, and we don't want to leave anybody behind. And so, for this type of work, I like to use collaborative tools such as Microsoft Teams, Zoom, or Slack, which can help have conversations in real time with change management tools as well. They can, you know, facilitate this fast communication because we can speak to each other through the chat aspect. And, with Slack, that's always been something, but recently Zoom chats and Microsoft Team chats have become a really favored way for people to communicate with their team members very quickly in geographically dispersed teams. And the great thing is that they also provide real-time feedback loops, where you are sending information out and you're getting feedback immediately, which is different than email, very different than email. So I love the chat function here. I love this new hybrid remote work way of working, but I think it does take some adjustment, and many people are still uncomfortable with their work arrangement. And I think that knowing that these tools are available can help us to adopt this change, to move forward and to have a more connected work life, more similar to what we had when we were in the office. The third trend or innovation that I wanted to talk about is really thinking about human-centered change and employee experience. Now, human-centered change sounds so obvious because successful change obviously begins and ends with people. But we have had few years of human-centered design where we were looking at how do we design things for humans in a way that makes this simpler for them. So we're thinking about not worrying so much about our technical need, but really focusing on how the human needs to work on the human design needs to be appropriate for people to best use a tool. So the future of change management is very human centered, obviously, because people are adopting changes. And we also focus quite a bit on employee experience. You know, a challenge right now is retention of employees. We have had a lot of turnover in many organizations. And I feel as though we're at a funny point where when people are not sure that they like their hybrid arrangement or their remote way of working, they may choose to work in a different way. They might be ordered to go back to the office and may choose that they want to stay remote. And so we would see high turnover there. I really think I've seen quite a bit of turnover based on the challenges that different people have had. Some people love to be in the office. They love that camaraderie. They love to have instant feedback. Some people would, like to be in the office once a year, perhaps. So personalization is key, ensuring that everybody is getting what they personally wish when we're thinking about this human-centered employee experience. And then also that we're using empathy and trust to reduce resistance among stakeholders. You know, one one challenge that we all have with any type of change is resistance. And so when we can help people thinking about more human-centered change, when we are um, focusing on the employee experience itself, then we know that we can help people with their personal and professional changes and goals in our change management life, in our new change management world. There's also the opportunity to really think about digital employee experience and also think about employee platforms such as Qualtrics or SurveyMonkey, which enable us to listen to people at different stages in their change journey. So very different stages gives us the ability to kind of get some digital understanding of what's going on. And capturing that feedback in real time gives us the ability to adapt strategies and gives us the chance to meet unique needs as well. So I think that we're focused now in this new world of trends and innovations on recognizing the unique needs of individuals, and driving both well-being for people and also performance for the organization. The fourth trend or innovation that I'm really interested in sharing with you about change management is that agile change management is happening. So we want to respond to agile or to change with agility. I mean, the days of having a one size fits all concept or methodology or process is really behind us. Like, we have to be able to flex and be adaptable with everything that we're using. So in today's world, we need some change management approaches that are flexible and iterative, uh, and and that these flexible, iterative business approaches really help us to break down what it is, large changes, what it is that we need to have into manageable steps so that we have the ability and the bandwidth to be able to work on such steps. So, agile change management really allows us to do that. It can break down steps into smaller bites, it can break the change down into smaller portions, into small sprints, and it enables us to quickly respond to feedback and adjust our course because we are seeing what's happening in real time and we can make these quick adjustments. So, as organizations are thinking about adopting agile methodologies, I really think of it as an agile framework where we embed change management into the dynamic changes and into the sprints that we're doing in an agile project. And then we're tracking things that are both on the project management um, plan as well as the change management plan so that we're able to measure development and change adoption so that we can ensure that our change is iterative and responsive and driven by real-time data. Many times in the Ready framework, which I is my framework that I use, that I've created, is I'm everything is iterative in there, right? Like, I am trying something out and checking the results and thinking about it and then revising it and trying it again. And so I just think that in the past, I have had more um, rigid change management processes. And I was encouraged to stick to that plan, to stick to those processes. And now I love this flexibility of an agile change management approach because it does give me the ability to quickly make adjustments, think about new ideas, and bring them in and try them. And then if they don't work, I'm back trying something else. But it's very freeing to have the ability to iterate during a change and see how things are going and to really make adjustments as you're moving forward. And then finally, our fifth innovation, I told you I'd give you five of these trends and innovations, is really the power of insights. It's thinking about data-driven strategies. So we know that we are getting so much data from AI, so much information that it can help us to create strategies quickly and to think about the best change strategies because these will be driven by data. When we're able to look at data to identify what we should do next with powerful analytics and also, this amazing ability to sort of parse out customer or stakeholder sentiment, I think it's really amazing because we can gain deep insights into our stakeholder groups and into how our change is being received. And that's fun when you think about it. Many of us use stakeholder analysis, stakeholder assessment tools. where we're thinking about and talking about, what is it that someone will gain in this particular area? What is something that they will lose with this change? And what is something that stakeholder may be fearful about in the change? Those are the three pieces that I'm very interested in knowing about whenever I'm conducting a change, whenever I'm doing a stakeholder assessment. I want to know those things. And yet now I can leverage this data driven strategy power of insights from AI, and I can help um, my leadership, I can help my team, and also think about helping the project management team to identify these strategies and insights through AI and be driven by data. And then, now that I have that, I can then go and verify with our stakeholder groups. Rather than generating so much content with the stakeholder groups, I want to verify. I want to hear from them. Here's what I've learned. Here's the data. Now you tell me, is this accurate? Did I get it right? And so data driven change really allows us to be more strategic in our approach and to focus on the areas that matter most and to be able to adjust in real time to optimize results. And these analytic tools are just revolutionizing the way that we approach change because we have so much information we can use to analyze workforces in real time and to optimize our results for change. So this is just so effective. I'm very excited about it. And, in thinking about that, we can really determine, how are we going to analyze our workforce data and determine when we should implement a change. I mean, maybe we don't have to draw a stakeholder map by hand any longer. Maybe we're thinking now about how to implement change initiatives maxim, to maximize effectiveness and to think about, minimal disruption for our stakeholders. That would be fantastic to use that data to help us determine those pieces. So I have to say, I think the future of change management is very exciting. I think it's very challenging, and I think as we brace some of these trends, as we try some of these trends, it's clear that this cutting edge technology is making it a completely different experience to lead change. So it is going to be still the human experience that will define how we lead change successfully. But I have to tell you that many of these innovations um, can ensure that our organizations and those of us who are change practitioners are not just prepared to lead change, but to thrive in leading change. Um, so I do think about also how do you keep evolving your role? How do you keep growing and learning? Well, I think there are a lot of AI classes online. PMI actually has a free one that anybody who's a member of Project Management Institute can take the generative AI overview course. Uh, and if you're thinking about, how do I deal with the change fatigue that all of this rapid change may be bringing on? That is a terrific question. And one of the things that I think is so important to recognize is that our AI insights, all of this data that we have can help us to determine the best time to implement, which can really have an impact on that change fatigue. If we're not doing everything right at once, because we have an overall view of all of the changes that are happening and they're planned differently, it can make a tremendous difference. So I have to tell you how excited I am to share these trends and innovations with you. I think it's exciting just to know that change management is continuing to grow and evolve. And you must also grow and evolve. I must grow and evolve to lead change successfully. So, if you're really interested in getting great at leading change and using all of these innovations and trends and being aware of them and putting them into practice, I would encourage you to reach out to me and talk to me about our Ready, Set, Change Accelerated Training and Exam Prep. This is our last cohort of 2024. It begins on September 23rd, and it's 3 weeks. And then you'll be working on not only implementing the Ready framework, understanding some trends and innovations, but you will also be preparing to take your CCMP exam, your Certified Change Management Professional exam, which can state to the world, that you are a very competent, experienced, educated, and effective change management professional. So I would highly encourage you to reach out to me if you are looking to join our cohort. We have 5 seats left at this point in our cohort, and we are just thrilled to be sharing this information to share some future innovations as well as prepare you for leading change, and then to also help you earn your CCMP. So that's it for today on LinkedIn Live, and I will see you in 2 weeks.